Well, hello there. I hope you all are doing great. And I am Gina from English Quest with Gina. And today we will be talking about how to go from my English is bad to I speak English amazing. But before we get into this, I just want to give you a heads up that right now I am using a streaming platform. So I don't know how many of you are connected and watching this live. So make sure that you can text me, put your, like comments, and I just want to make sure that we are able to communicate because I'm using the streaming platform for the first time. And oh no, okay. Oh, there was an option to show chat on stream. Okay. Well, I will try to keep the chats to me. And it says, okay, I moved to YouTube. Oh, for English Quest with Gina, like for LinkedIn, it's going to be read only. Okay, perfect. Meanwhile, we are setting our space here. Okay. Can I get some feedback? Like, are you guys able to hear me? Or, I just want to make sure things are smooth because I will be keeping the space open for questions. So feel free to show and send your questions to me. Okay? Perfect, perfect. So to start with, today I'm going to talk about that most of my students, like last 5 years, I have been into teaching English at a global level. So most of my students, they come from Taiwan, Spain, and also from other parts of the world such as France, Germany, US, UK, Australia. Now when I say US, UK, Australia, these people are the immigrants, basically people who have migrated to these countries. And one very important and crazy question I get all the time is, I am bad at English, my English is not good. That's what they end up saying constantly. But my question to you is, what do you think? What do you think? Why people say that? Do you also feel that your English is not good? Please please feel free to use the comment section and let me know how do you feel about this. Do you also feel that you want to learn to speak fluently? Do you also feel like I want to speak like native speakers without getting stuck? Do you feel wow, I'm gonna keep my phone. Okay, there is some error call coming in. Okay. All right. I'm going to get back to my life. Sorry. I just have to make sure that we have a smooth internet connection so that we can focus more on our talks. Feel free to use the comment section as the chat and let's talk about, do you also feel, my question to you guys is, do you also feel that you want to talk fluently? Do you also feel that my English is bad? Or do you also feel that my English is not good enough? Or in the past you felt like that? I really want to know, how do you feel when it comes to your English language? What do you feel? Feel free to put in the comment section, and I would definitely love to answer this particular part of language learning aspect. Moving on, I would, okay, by the way, like I have prepared the bullet points, so I just want to make sure if you communicate with me, it will be easier for me to give relevant examples related to you so that you guys can actually relate to it. All right, so let us work here together as a community. Be part of this conversation. Don't take it like a class. I'm not taking a class here. I'm just trying to help you understand, because I can tell one thing: if you're watching this live right now, by the end of this live, when you will leave, I just know one magic that's going to happen. You will go out confident. You will get to really say, my English is good, or I speak amazing English. Okay? So, are you ready for this? If you are, make sure you use that comment section and write something there so that I can know you guys are ready to be confident and become that fluent speaker. All right? So, the most important thing that we need to do is become our best friends. Well, imagine. Okay, now there are like two kind of best friends, right? So if you guys are from India by any chance, in India, best friend relationship is a little different as compared to rest part of the world. So, our, in a few parts, like I would say in Asian countries, usually if you're best friends with somebody, they would just make fun of you in your face. But for most people, like for other people out there, when let's say you're developing a new skill, what usually happens is whenever we are trying to develop or learn a new skill, it's very easy to get disheartened. Disheartened, it's really easy to get underconfident. We don't feel confident enough. We feel that we are always judging ourselves. We feel, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? You know, the reason why I can talk about these things is because I always keep on learning some or the other skill. I would either be involved in some language research. So that also means like I would be learning a language, or I'm developing some skill. It can be dancing or a different sort of dancing. Like recently, I'm trying to pick up swimming. Pick up. How can I pick up swimming? So whenever you try to learn a new skill, you can use this phrase as pick up that, I'm going to pick up a new skill, right? So also feel free to let me know what's a new skill that you pick up or you picked up recently. What's the new skill that you picked up recently? Let me know in the comments, and I'm still going to keep talking, right? Because I don't know if you guys are like commenting, because this is the first time I'm using this streaming platform. So let's see how it works out. Well, what I want you to do is like imagine if your best friend is going through a tough time. Are you gonna say, yeah, that was bad, that happened? Or would you say like, yeah, it's okay, you got this. It's okay. Things are gonna be fine. You will deal with it. You will get over it, right? That's what you're gonna say to them. Yeah, I don't have anybody to look at, so that's why I'm looking at myself in the camera, like outside the camera. But what I want to really highlight here is that become your best friend. You know you are sucking up at speaking English. You know that, but don't speak it out loud. There is a reason why. So today I'm going to talk about the most important factor that's responsible for people when they're learning a language, or whenever they feel that, oh, but I try a lot, I talk with a lot of people, but I just feel stuck. So reason number one, the psychological aspect. Our brain, crazy. It's teeny tiny, but all the neurons and they are playing their games. There are millions of thoughts coming into your head, but do you really put every thought under a microscope? See, that's another phrase. Do you put every thought under a microscope? So even with this live, you guys are learning something, okay? So if you want, like, just try to remember the story and you will remember the things, okay? You don't need to memorize anything. So that's what I want you to understand. You don't have to keep every thought under microscope. Don't focus too much on the thought that, oh, you cannot talk English or you cannot talk a certain language. What I want you to do is instead try, go out. And the most important part, what happens is it's so easy to have a self doubt in the initial stage of learning. But here, what we have to do, we don't have to focus on the problems. We have to celebrate the small wins. All right. So when I talk about celebrating small wins, what exactly do I mean? That, there are like certain platforms I cannot go live simultaneously. So recently I tried one of the platforms where I was live, and most of the audience, they were from a different country. So I tried to use their language because that was part of my language learning research in the last year. And I know that my pronunciation was not 100% right. I know that I was not really saying everything out correct. But every time I was able to read one name, even if it's wrong, but I made the effort. And people were so nice that they typed their name in English to me. And then I started having conversations with them. So that's what I'm trying to highlight. Put yourself out there. Nobody's going to hate you. I mean, imagine if a foreigner comes to our country or like any country, you meet a foreigner and they are trying to speak your language. Any foreigner, any country, all right? So if I'm from Germany and I have somebody coming from Thailand and they're trying to speak Germany in Thailand, sorry, in they're trying to speak Germany in Germany. And let's say they come and they're trying to talk to me. Yeah. So am I going to judge them? I was trying to do the German accent, but I think I should not. We're going to deviate to the other topic then. So, yes, will I really judge them? Like if a foreign person trying to speak my language, I will be compassionate towards them. I will try to understand what they're saying, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah, oh, no, 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 don't worry. Right? So even if they say, oh, I want to send my kid to the kindergarten, they don't say kindergarten, but you will still understand. That's what I'm trying to say. You will be compassionate towards the other person. So just guys, remember, if you're talking to a native speaker, they are not going to judge you. 90% of the times they try and make efforts so that they can understand you. So take advantage. If you are in a foreign land, if you want to talk the language, go ahead and give it a shot. If somebody is annoyed, maybe they are having a bad day. It's not your fault. So take it easy. All right. But always remember, don't ever say my English is bad or my German is bad or my French is bad, because whenever you say this thing out loud, you're putting your words into action. So basically, what happens is you might have a thought that, okay, I suck at this, but you got to practice. Accept the reality. But that's a thought. Don't say it out loud, because the moment you're going to say it out loud, you're going to mess up, because you say it, now your brain creates a perspective and you start hallucinating. Not exactly hallucinating. So here I would like to describe this word if you don't know what is hallucinating. So hallucination is have you seen those movies where they show that one of the characters in the movie, because of some some life situations or some sort of incidents, they go into trauma and they start imagining things. So let's say some in some recently I watched a movie where this person's parents and sister, they were dead when this guy was a kid, but then he just grew up, and by the time he become an adult, it became like so obvious that in his head he never accepted that his family is dead. And these whole years until he became an adult, he could see his mom and dad and the sister. So he was hallucinating. He was in his own world. He started seeing things. So, like, I mean, if I say that there is water in this cup, what do you think? Do you really believe it? There is water in this cup? Let me know. Let me know. What do you think? Yes, there is water. No, there is no water. Right? So for a few of you, you guys might be like, yeah, yeah, there must be water. But for some of you, you'd be like, how do we know what you're drinking? Agreed. But if I just take my cup closer and I try to show you, And then we're like, oh, yeah, yeah, now, yeah, that's water, right? So what happened? The first person, they believed what I said. And whatever they believed, that became their reality. Make sense? Yeah. And when I say there is water in this cup, because I can see the water, it's my cup, I got water in it. Now, if I imagine I mean, if I say it's water, I see it, that's the reality. So for some people who were like, oh, we don't know, whatever you're drinking, or maybe you think that, oh, maybe I'm having an orange juice. But my question to you is, that's what you think and you believe, that becomes your reality. But is that my reality? No, it's not. So, what I'm trying to highlight here is whatever you speak, it turns into perspective. Your brain started creating a, a signal. It's basically a process of training your subconscious in believing something that exists. So for some people who thought there was orange juice in my cup, that became their belief. For people who agreed, yes, there is water, that become their belief. And my belief is, yes, there is water, and that's the reality. But for me and for people who believed in the reality is the truth. But for those people who were like, okay, maybe it can be an orange juice, it's your belief, but that's not the reality. Why I am trying to emphasize on this particular part is because a lot of us, whenever we say my English is bad, you are basically putting the perspective out there for yourself, to yourself, that, oh, my English is bad. It's like, oh, there is orange juice in the cup. So you're training your belief. And once you're doing like this training, what's going to happen? That's going to become your reality, even if it's reality or not. So, what's happening is your psychological thought becoming words, turning into perspective. Perspective strengthens your belief, and that becomes your belief, and that will become your reality. No matter what, no matter how much you practice, no matter how many, how much, how many efforts you're going to put in there, how much lessons you're having with your teacher, like nobody can do anything about it, because the first important thing is you need to work on the psychology. But my question is it really possible to work alone on it? Not really. So, as you're listening to me, so yes, I have been teaching for more than 10 years, like language teaching, English language teaching. But for past 5 years, I have been strictly very much involved and devoted to research related to language learning. And when I have been doing this research, so whatever I am talking to you, it's coming out of my research, my experience, and my learning with my students. Now, when you'll say 5 years I have been teaching, so let me give you a little bit more aspect to it. I have trained approximately 300 students, adult students, working professional, or students who went to the university, but they were all like 18 plus, and or 16, sorry, 16 plus students. And I have not just worked with them, but I have done a detailed research about IELTS test, TOEIC test preparations, not the test, okay? How to prepare my students. And I'm so proud to say that all my students have gotten the bands that they wanted. All my students, whatever the dreams that they had in their head, some wanted to get that promotion, some wanted to move abroad for better life, for university, for job. All my students were able to achieve what they wanted. That is how I work with my students. I don't just teach them language, I work with them at a psychological level. I build this psychology because I know it's not just about language learning, it's not just about speaking or like knowing words, it's more about your psychology. And that is why where most of the part of training goes in the class with my students. Now, second thing, I'm going. Oh, as we're talking about belief, I got one more question for you. What do you think? Learning, not learning, memorizing vocabularies, is it necessary? We're talking about beliefs now. So, this is a question for you. What do you guys think? Let me know yes and no. And if anybody have been putting the comments, I just want to say, like, on this platform, I don't really see any comments at the moment. But if you guys are putting the comments and if I'm not able to answer, please feel free to drop your comments or messages to me personally. Like, if you're not putting any comments, that's great. But if you are, and just so you know, I can't really see it at the moment. But yeah, well, let's see. We're going to talk about this. Okay, so if you guys really, okay, what do you guys think? Like, is it really important to memorize vocabulary? What do you think? Let me know. Yes. So, any comments you guys would like to make? Okay. I'm still gonna put two perspectives out there. I know, like, for a lot of people, you would think that yes, learning vocabulary is good. It's important. It's necessary because that's like the building block. And if you think that memorizing vocabulary is important, then I would love to be the first one to break this to you that it's not. Memorizing vocabulary is the most ridiculous exercise that people push on you so that you think you're learning, they think that they're teaching, but it's not really doing any wonders. The reason being, usually when you go to the language classes, I mean, this is a different story. If you're absolute beginner, you will be introduced to words, but the way your teacher teaches or introduces these new words to you, that's a different story. But let's say if you're already A2 level and you're going to a B1 level. Now, for people who don't know what is A2 level and B1 level, I'm just going to say that this is more like your English language skill levels. So you can imagine, like, if you're a beginner, you talk a little bit like you're somewhere between the intermediate. Like, okay, you're like, yeah, I can talk so and so, but you're not confident enough. But in that zone, if you feel like, oh, you are struggling to learn the new words, but that's the bad way. You should not focus too much on learning. You need to focus on acquiring. Now, again, language acquisition is a very, very different phenomenon. Like, we're not going that down that road today. But talking about the my bad, talking about understanding, talking about vocabulary memorization, just getting a list of words and trying to memorize and then trying to learn is not really going to help. So how can we work on building vocabulary? So for my students, like, even in this live right now, if you would see, I would be glad to be the first one to break this down, like, break it to you. I just said that, right? Then I used a few phrases. So this is how I even train my students in the class, because I know these words are new for them, and then I subconsciously try to put these words into their head. And during the class and in the conversation, I would just make them speak that word, even if they try, because instead of me telling them, I want you to use this word, no, I just play with their subconscious or mind, basically conscious and subconscious, where I actually make them speak. I make them use that word, and this is how we build the vocabulary. Because now I know, after watching this, you are never ever going to forget the vocabulary. Like, if anybody out there uses this word, you will remember it. So this is how you got to be trained, right? So the belief system in Asian education system, or I don't know, like, I don't really think I should call it a belief system. It's just a business system, or it's just a system, a way, like, which is structured around to make sure to give you education. But They fail to understand that every individual is different. If I'm a visual learner, it doesn't matter how many words and list I see, I don't learn that way. If I'm an audiolingual learner, I am not gonna see something and I'm not gonna learn. I need to hear things. So there is a lot related to psychology when it comes to teaching and learning, but what I'm trying to emphasize over here is whenever you are learning, it's ridiculous to memorize vocabularies. If you're doing that, stop doing it. Try connecting your story with the words. That's how I do things with my students in the class, so that they are learning in a better way, right? So I do two things. I don't teach them vocabulary. I mean, I do teach them vocabulary, but I never ever ask them to memorize anything. So second thing that I do is I work on their psychology. So the psychology that we talked about, it takes lots of efforts, because there will be some students, who will be fixated on the idea. And this usually happens when I have students who are 50 plus years old. There are students who learn at the age of 50 and 60. All right. And I'm so proud of them that they are coming out of their comfort zone and they are ready to learn and relearn. But I'm just going to say, if you're below 50, you can still work on it. If my 50-year-old beginner students can actually work and learn to speak and express themselves, you can do that too. All right. Now, so what you have to do, first thing, become your own best friend. All right. Support yourself, be compassionate. All right. Second thing is, remember what will happen if you say, my English is not good. What's going to happen? Your thoughts, you're putting it into words. The words are going to create an idea, a perspective, a vision, a view in front of in your head. That's going to make you believe things. So your belief is going to be created and that will become your reality. So make sure that whenever, by accident, if you say this word, remind yourself, do I want this to be my reality? If not, don't say that again, ever. If you say it by accident, just say, oh, I want to take my words back. I speak English really good, or my English is amazing. All right. Talk like this. Talk positive. It's like positive reinforcement on your brain, like that's what we have to do. So positive reinforcement is like when we are training something, like every time you like punch the wall, every time you train it hard. So this is how I work with my students, to make sure their psychology is working. Now I'm going to talk about another important aspect, which we call as behavioral aspect. Now, do you know what that is? Feel free to comment if you know about it. And if I miss any of the comments, I guess like once the live is complete, I'm going to check it and I will try to reach out and respond back to you for sure. Because on the streaming platform right now, I don't see any comments. But if you're going to comment, I will make sure that I will answer all the comments out there. Now, yes, when I talk about human behavior, the most important aspect is our tendency. So let's say, for example, I was kid, like I have seen my father getting up in the morning, and then he would make the bed, and then he would do his morning chores. So this is what I have seen. This is what I have learned. So this has kind of become my tendency. So subconsciously, even if I don't think about it, the first thing that I would do is I would get up, make my bed, and then I would do whatever I want to do. Right? Every morning when you wake up, like you might have this habit, you just go and start brushing your teeth. Or every morning you get up and you start drinking a glass of water. So these are like so subconscious activities that where you don't really have to put any efforts. You don't really have to think too much, and you just end up doing those things, right? So the tendency. But can these tendencies be changed? Yes, it can be changed, but with a proper training. So when I say training, it's like sometimes there are some rigid training aspect. I'm going to give a very, very beautiful and very simple example. Let's say for some people, they are in habit that after taking shower, they would put the towels on the bed. Now, now this person, the other person that I'm going to talk about, can be your mother, can be your partner, and the partner is not okay with this. So what's going to happen? They will highlight it once, twice, thrice, 10 times, and 100 times. For some people, partners say once, they immediately do it, right? But for other people, the partner has to train them 100 times. They have to tell them, they have to ask them, they have to do different sort of activities with them, like maybe if they don't want to keep the towel on the bed, maybe they will just destroy the whole setting of the bed and ask the partner to, if you put the towel on the bed again, I'm going to mess the bed up and you have to remake the bed again. So you have to use different tactics to train. So even in the class, like because obviously some of my students might have some behavioral aspect to language learning as well. Like sometimes people have their own tendencies. So I work with them, and it's hard. Honestly, it's hard when you try to do as a coach, as an international coach, and as a coach that really really care for their students. It's so difficult to get to the bottom of it and try to train all this, because imagine I'm training you with the language, but then I have to also see your psychological approach, not just to the language but to the topic. I have to take in consideration if you had or might not had conflicts at work, or you had an argument with your boss, your child is sick, or it can be anything, anything. Or one time I had a student like who had an anxiety issue with the test. So it was easy for me to train him for the IELTS test. It was the easiest part, but it took me so much efforts, hit and trial, to really work on his anxiety part. It was not easy, but that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm known for. I make sure my students get the band that they need. This is how I train them. Like, I just don't train them, or I just don't teach them the language aspect. I work with them on their psychology. I work with them on their behavioral, like, human behavioral aspect related to language learning. So that's what I'm trying to say. Whenever you say I am not good at English, or my English is bad, you're gonna end up making that thing your reality. You are actually, every time you say it, you're training your brain subconsciously, you're feeding it. And remember, that's gonna become the reality, the truth for you. So from now onwards, make sure that you say, my English is amazing, and see the magic happening. Every time you say, oh, my English is bad, I'm not good at English, immediately switch your sentence and say out loud with confidence, my English is good. Even if it isn't, doesn't matter, who cares? Say it. That's going to change the whole English game for you. But again, you have to keep practicing, because that's how you're going to get it. Now, that was like the most important information I wanted to convey through our live today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section below. I will try to put this live video out there on YouTube. We will see like how we can do it. But also, like, I have talked about my personal research here, and I am so sorry if you guys have made any comments. I am using the streaming platform for the first time. I can't really see any comments at the moment, but if I was able to, I would definitely comment on it. Like, I would respond and have discussion. I never do this, like, this camera looking at myself and talking. No, I'd rather prefer to answer your questions. I'd rather prefer to highlight, the things that I can actually help you at the core. So, because that's the real me. I don't like to talk in the air. I like to get to the brim of it, like, what you're expecting, what you want. And yeah, and if you guys have any questions, if you guys would like to book a class with me, reach out to me on my other social media channels, or you can just simply go to the website englishquestwithgina.com, and there are thousands of modes for you to connect with me directly. You can connect, you can ask questions. And yes, if you want to book a class with me, just want to tell you that this week I'm a little available. That's why I'm trying to experiment this live thing and this and that. But usually my schedule gets like really, really occupied. So if you want to have classes with me, make sure that you text me beforehand because my calendar is going to be occupied for most of the times. So I follow a particular procedure. I'm not going to make you book the classes with me right away. No, because I'm going to meet you first for a trial class. So there will be an initial class where I will meet you. I will try to understand, your psychology, your approach, and then I will suggest like how we can actually work on it. And that's how we plan. So like first class is always about getting to know you, planning the things ahead, and then moving forward. Well, that's it. And obviously the classes are going to be paid. I'm a professional. So yeah, just so you know. Well, that's pretty much it from my end. Oh, and I need to say a very, very happy Diwali to all of you. And I hope you guys are having fun. That's one of the most important Indian festivals in India. And I wonder if you can actually see the caption or if you saw the caption or not. But we'll see. Let's see how this live ends. I still have no idea if this really went live or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for connecting and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.